as you and I have talked, the word weird comes from the word wired from Old English, WYRED, which we have we've reabsorbed into our vernacular because it means wired to spirit. It means wired to the planet. It means wired to nature, that our bodies, it's not something you have to find. It's already done. Like we were born wired in, connected. And interestingly enough, everything that's normal severs those connections and squeezes us out of our divine right to be in connection with nature and spirit and source.
Hello and welcome to Emanate. I'm your host, Quiver, and in this conversation, I'm with my forever friend of over 20 years, Reya. In our candid talk, we share a bit of our love story, and you'll get a taste of Reya's brilliant medicine, how her word magic works like acupuncture needles to amplify vitality. We talk about the evolutionary benefit of women's brains pruning in different seasons of life and our deepening relationship with water and how we're all initiates in this crocodile labyrinth of modern life. Reya shares life skills, how living weird and free with a taproot of self-love is a way to navigate the multiple dimensions of reality. Enjoy! I'm so grateful to be sitting with my beloved soul sister, Reya. We have traversed now 20 years of friendship, many, many different seasons of our lives, and I am curious to hear what is alive for you in this season.
In this season, I feel, well, in this moment, I feel just so grateful to be here and have this conversation with you, Em. It's always been a joy for the last 2 decades of my life to be in communion, in connection, in community, in the currency of our lives together.
Mm.
So that brings this kind of bubbly energy in the moment. And we're also in transition in the Pacific Northwest, at least from winter to spring. And I'm feeling the transition. I'm feeling kind of clawing my way out of the bear den and not quite ready to unfurl, but there is some unfurling energy in there. That's how I feel.
Mm, beautiful. And how about in this season of your life, like where you're at?
Well, we are 10 years apart. And I think I turned 52.
Yeah.
And the 50s are amazing, incredible. There's an incredible amount of deepening that's happening for me. Um, and it's challenging too. There's a
Mm.
lot of challenges there. So I feel full spectrum in where I am in my life. I feel like I'm in my genius in many moments, in my mastery, in my presence, and other moments I totally forget.
Yeah. I loved when you were visiting and you were sharing with me evolutionarily how the human species is here is through these phases of pruning in our brain.
Mhm. The feminine
And
brain. Mhm.
and just like I know I'm currently kind of going through that. So anything on that wisdom that you want to bring in?
Yeah, that's from Dr. Mindy Peltz, and she was talking about, and that's fascinating because you and I are totally pruning our brains right now, but for 2 very different reasons. And yours is, coming into postpartum. You're not there yet, but that's inevitable, right? Because
Yeah.
baby's coming out. And when your hormones change, then that pruning will happen and you're going to prune. And this is the beauty of evolution, is that your brain will prune so that you can totally be intuiting what your baby needs, because that is your primary um, mystical role, is to know what baby wants, baby needs, keep baby alive, keep baby fed. and that is beautiful. And
Yeah.
my pruning is very different. It's like actually the opposite. Maybe. I mean, but the pruning that's happening and such a real part of my experience right now is pruning all the neural connections that have to do with self-sacrifice, self-abandonment, um, overgiving, caretaking for anyone. And so for me and my work, I think the whole like mythology around being a healer is so tied up in all of those things of like how to heal, how to care for someone, how to tend to someone are really wrapped up in that for me self-sacrifice. I mean I'm saying for me but I'm also seeing like a larger experience for women especially. So that's it's changing my identity of who I think I am, how I found my worth in caring for other people before caring for myself. And I'm totally relearning that. I'm super excited about it, but it's also really hard. It's like, well, how am I to be socially? How am I um like I don't even necessarily love that label of healer
Uh,
unless I'm talking about myself.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you shared that wisdom, I don't know, probably 15 years ago when we were in Seattle and I was receiving, one of the most amazing, brilliant medicine sessions of your acupuncture, Chinese medicine, magic. And I remember you saying, you heal yourself. Back
Mhm.
then, it was just this, you have these really amazing, precise ways of bringing in wisdom, just like the
Mhm.
acupuncture needle. Tunk. That
Mhm.
then I'm like, whoa. So,
Mm.
now living into that, like, how's that showing up for you as like, what does that look like for you prioritizing your yourself?
Mhm. I mean, to be honest, it's glitchy.
Mhm.
It's glitchy. I don't feel an ease and a smoothness in it, yet it feels imperative, like there's no other choice, and my main choice is to be alone, and that isn't a choice that I have made much in my life, as a very socially oriented creature and community connector, and Um, I love my family and all, so it's new, but it feels so right. And I'm just like, when in doubt, be alone. When in doubt, just go to the woods. Like I I so much enjoy the pleasure of being by myself. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm. And then I figure the rest out. The movements come from a place of solace and not social expectation. And I hope that this speaks to some people that this rewiring is essential. It's
Mm.
not just a selfish choice. I mean, I don't even actually want to bring that into the conversation or that something is wrong because this time of life, these choices become necessary to make. Um, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for the process. I'm really grateful for the pruning. I'm really excited about who I get to become
Mm.
because of it. This is increasing my access to source and spirit and guidance and um, the ability to listen to and hear and tend to my own needs. Um, in some ways, it feels like, oh, it's so late in the game, but it actually feels perfect. It's perfect timing. My child is an adult. My relationship is solid. My parents are eldering but they're in a good place. So there's life circumstances that allow me to have the appropriate of this time. Like it feels appropriate and authentic to really move into my own sovereignty now. Um, yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
Well, just witnessing again over 20 years, we've had so many different iterations of roles and identities, and I'm just so blessed to have a deep rooted friendship with you to go through these different changes. And I'm also excited to see the becoming,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
And um that devotion to what you would say, be free, be weird.
be weird, be free.
Be
Yeah.
weird, be free. And that it's actually necessary to have that aloneness and celebrating that in
Mhm,
you in this season. And then just just naming too that there's that felt sense of security. Like you have a secure foundation with your relationships that you
mhm.
don't have to contort
Yeah.
to override.
Mm,
And that's a
mhm,
beautiful way of modeling that. Because what do you from the wisdom from both your practice of brilliant medicine
mhm.
over 20 years, over
Mhm,
20 years, you've been
mhm.
practicing
Yeah.
Chinese medicine and working with so many different bodies and seeing so many different patterns. And what would you say would culturally be the the landscape for women in this season of life that either supports or does not support this pruning?
Mm.
Or maybe it's not an either or, it's but the yeah, just what have you seen?
I mean, I feel consensus reality or kind of more mainstream culture, which I've been trained by completely, um, even with my own, resistances to that my entire life, but there's still that training there, um, is to find worth in kind of caring for others or like being there present for others um, and this in terms of what's going on with the organ systems at this time of life when the uterus is no longer preparing itself to have babies, then the creation center moves up to the heart. So it moves from the uterus to the heart. And I think, again, in mainstream culture, we think of the heart as like compassion for everyone else and like love out there and all of this. But what I'm experiencing in my own body and now I'm seeing in my patients and those around me is that the uterus is that. The uterus is the like more community oriented because it's a survival mechanism based on our evolution to be in connection with community so that we remain safe. And because of the power dynamics between the masculine and the feminine on this planet, that women have had to morph their way of being in power, which is like that over caring for and like manipulation and that more all those shadow sides of the uterus archetype to have babies for so that they can have a place in society, right? Like all this fucked up history that is in our tissue.
Mhm.
So this time to really release the trauma of that female pain body that is so ancient as the creation center moves up to the heart. And that's when like hot flashes, because there's this heat and this fire of creation of the vital life force changing its location, its central location in the body. And that the heart is for the self.
Mm.
And I remember you talking about embryology and the development and how the heart in the embryo, the heart is over the head, right? And it's pumping, and the pulse of the heartbeat creates the sacred geometry from which the body forms around in that particular human, in that particular beautiful, precious being that's being created. And the heart is like the one creating that. And so when you were sharing that with me, I had all these like aha moments because I was like, oh, the heart is that. And what's interesting, Em, is like one of the symptoms of this time of life, menopause or whatever you want to call it, we can have all kinds of different words for it, is palpitation. So it's like we don't often normally feel the heartbeat, but like sometimes you can really feel your heartbeat. And sometimes that feels like anxiety, 'cause it's like, oh, this whole emotional experience happens. And then as I was lying in bed one night feeling my own heartbeat, I was like, oh no, it's reminding me of that blueprint, that sacred geometry that is my sound, my rhythm, so that I can continue to remake myself
Uh,
in this time. So the heart is just pulsing for me. For
yes.
me, it is moving my life force through this form in this life, in this precious experience on the planet, and and so it just so totally like like Tetris rewired that whole thing about like, oh, like the bleeding heart or like
Yeah.
the white savior or the healer, all that stuff that's so again intricately wound with self-sacrifice being my sense of belonging and worth on this planet.
Wow. And then truly to live heart-centered, because I could see there's a cultural misunderstanding or whatever consensus reality, um, of what love is, to love and be in relationship in that way, and so
Mhm,
the most loving thing and we can hear about this, but then have it actually in practice and embodied.
mhm.
Like, oh, self-love.
But we can feel it in people. We can
Yes.
feel it in ourselves. Like you can talk about that, but it's and you and I, we've always been on this tip of like, it doesn't matter unless you can feel it in your matter,
Yes.
right? It's like we can talk all kinds of bullshit about self-love
Mhm.
and ascension or mysticism or all that, but it doesn't
Oh,
matter. We're feeling it in our bodies. And I want to be, and I am, and I continue to be surrounded by people who love themselves.
phew.
It's like a prerequisite because the energy frequency of that makes me feel safe. Like that my self-loving practices and the frequency that I am holding because of this beautiful sacred geometry that's happening within is going to be tended to and cared for in community, and nobody's going to caretake it. They will not take it from me.
Wow. That that language, and as you're talking, thinking of the torus field, the toroidal field around the heart,
Mhm.
and it loops back in, and it
Yeah.
comes in vertically, and it continues to loop instead of this leaking hook, like the tendrils that get hooked and
Mhm. It's the leaking and sucking. Because if you're leaking, you have people around you that are sucking. Like it's just dynamics.
mhm.
So yeah, the toroidal. Yep. And the sun is doing that. So the sun is like consistently, I think Richard Rudd talks about this in some of his Gene Key stuff, how the sun is a um, renewable resource because it keeps like its own fuel. It brings it back in and burns it again and brings it back in and burns. We can learn from the sun.
On the note of gene keys, I was just reading before we started this sweet birthday card that you gave me 2 years ago, and I'd like to read it because it just so beautifully, in your words, encompasses the essence of our love,
Mm.
our the
Mhm.
the ride we've been on this life and many other lifetimes. There's so many different names, but I love that you said my forever friend. So,
Hmm.
my forever friend. This looks much like a Valentine's Day card. There's two orcas kissing with the heart in between for just the audio. And this looks much like a Valentine's Day card, but to me, it speaks to a long time whale song of love that just keeps on giving and growing and becoming. We fell in love in water, late night moon dips. To the lady wells, we return time and time again. Water, our creation story, has had us in her sights since the beginning, calling us into her lake, stream, swimming hole, hot spring, mama ocean, shory slopes. She guides us on our mystery water tour together, alone, all one and alone. She teaches us and amplifies those teaching through the stories as we weave them between us. Remember our Gene Key sleepover on the banks of the Snoqualmie? Yes. Remember singing at the source spring along the White Salmon, yelling into the rainstorm at my home in Seattle, receiving the songs of our loved ones through the Lady Well, awed, standing agape at the ocean in the boob tube. Little inside joke there. Singing the waters alive everywhere we go. This year, many more water memories to uncover, and swimming in the deeps of the Pacific with the dolphins. Her sentience is becoming our sentience. Her love story, our love story. Her whale song, our whale song. May we be the best stewards of her wisdom. I read it often. It's such a beautiful reminder. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for reading that. That feels like a whole gift back. I love our love story. Can we talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. 20 years, not just, we didn't just meet 20 years ago and then kind of saw each other again at the grocery store. But like 20 years ago, we dove in. And I was working at a Japanese restaurant in Seattle, or I came back to work at it and you were there. You have such great factoid memory, so you can help me out. Or maybe that's gone since you're
Maybe
pregnant.
it's pruning now.
Um, and there was such an attraction. There's such a light in you that has never wavered. It has only gotten stronger as you've become more connected with your wisdom body and allowing your soul to live more through your life, which is like on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly, I see that more and more in you. But I recognized it when we met. That's what I wanted to say about that. I was like, "Ooh, who is this?" Like, my little radars were out for a mystical partnership, like forever friend. And who knew it was going to be Emily from Nishino?
Right? Oh my gosh. To thank the goddess for me getting this job at Nishino. Emily, who just graduated from University of Washington, from being in the sorority, and I enter and see the coolest woman, Jessica Ray. But went by Reya. No, you didn't go by Reya. You went by Ray.
Yeah, Ray.
Ray. And I saw the coolest woman, Ray. And I remember you invited me to go swimming after our shift one night at the lake.
I think it was full moon too, which it's full moon right now, by the way.
Whoa. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And we get down to the lake. And I'm like,
I don't have a suit.
I don't have my swimming suit. You're like, we don't need one. What do you mean? And that was the beginning of like, "Oh my gosh, freedom." Right.
Mhm.
We don't need swimsuits. We went
Mhm.
swimming under the full moon. It was so silky in the lake together, and that was just pure bliss.
Yes.
Pure bliss.
Yeah. And I just
And
want to say, like, we've grown up together, like, we've grown deep together. There's no we were both in our own cycles of forgetting at that time when we met, and the meeting has continued to catalyze our growth and development, our rest and resourcing, because
right.
it's not all about forward movement. It's about caring and tending to our bodies and ourselves, which we
Yeah.
have catalyzed for each other over
Mhm.
20 years, Em. This really
Yes.
such a an incredible blessing and gift and honor to be in this relationship with you in this whale
Truly.
song.
This whale song, so I feel like you know, if you get that one I feel so blessed of, like, having this one once in a lifetime chance of having that depth
Mhm,
that not everybody may get to have. And
mhm.
so, just so grateful for our souls recognizing each other and the different ways, I remember we went on a date. We went on a so after a few other swimming dates, we went to go eat late night dinner after a
Yeah,
shift
mhm. Palace Kitchen, downtown Seattle.
downtown Seattle, and we didn't notice, like, we were the last ones there because it was such a magical evening. And I remember talking to you about, like, The Power of Now, this book that, at the time, which
Mm,
again, we can look at all our different moments of
mhm.
our path and, but this defining moment where you put your hands on the table and you look at me, you go, "I knew you were my soul sister." And it
Oh,
just
oh.
totally brought me deeper into my heart
Mhm,
and this knowing, and
mhm,
that's what it's felt like. Like, I share, like, I've
mhm,
that, being with you reminded me of that authenticity and
mhm.
sovereignty and freedom and weirdness and permission that, "Oh, yeah, we don't need swimsuits."
Yeah, all the rules.
All the
Yeah.
rules. Yeah.
I yeah, that's what you mentioned what you said about that once in a lifetime, but it grows because once that is felt in the body and the system is like, "Oh, this is possible. This is what I want, and this is what I find all around me." And we have both done that. That's another thing that this relationship is catalyzed. It's like, "Oh, it's just raised the bar in friendship and connection and like inspiration." Like we have leapfrogged for 20 years in inspiration, like
So
creative
beautiful.
shows to gene keys to spirit journeys to water prayers to having babies, to finding partnership and what does that mean? And um I don't so many things just flashed through my head. But can I go talk about the weird and free piece
Yes.
a
Yes,
little
yes,
bit?
yes.
Because using that example of, going swimming in the middle of the city without a bathing suit in the middle of the night. That's just an example of something of like, oh, there's a normal way, which is like the training way to do things. And then every time we liberate ourselves just a moment from that normal way and be weird, which is the way that that word is used now, is what's not normal, is weird. Then there's a freedom because we've escaped the confines of our culture, and our culture's super oppressive. It's super tight. It's super tension inducing. And so any little liberation feels delicious in the body, right?
Mm.
Why we loved drugs. We loved alcohol, like, that was what it was. It gave us these portals, and thank you and bless it for what everything that it served and how much fun we had, But it's like it gave these little portals of, outside normalcy,
Yeah.
and as you and I have talked, the word "weird" comes from the word "wired" from Old English, W-Y-R-E-D, which we have, um, uh, we've reabsorbed into our vernacular because it means wired to spirit. It means wired to the planet. It means wired to nature, that our bodies, it's not something you have to find. It's already done. Like we were born wired in, connected. And interestingly enough, everything that's normal severs those connections and squeezes us out of our divine right to be in connection with nature and spirit and source. So, of course, the powers that be, which that's bullshit, by the way, we're the powers that
Mhm.
be.
Right.
Whoever you are, you're the power that be. So, whatever, dark forces, projects of oppression, all that stuff that's been on this planet forever, started to use that word in a different way and saying it was aberrant. It was a word that people used in high school to keep us in line, or like
Mhm.
keep us like connected to, uh, or disconnected, but like in the mainstream. Um, and so I just decided to like reincorporate be weird, be free, because the weirdness offers the liberation.
Mhm.
And that's what I would say to Soul every time they left for school. Was be weird, be free. And they would say it back to me, and it just became part of our family, like our little family motto. Um, yeah.
And you 3 are living that.
We're super weird.
They're super weird and super free. I mean,
Ah, so free.
and just that like, back to what we were first talking about, pruning and the evolution and changing. If we're not being squeezed by a certain expectation or identity, as what
Mhm.
I've seen with your beautiful borns is each of you coming into your own hearts and your connection with your spirit and how you each want to express,
Mhm.
including your names
Mhm. Yeah.
and how you choose to spend your time. That is really, really inspiring. And yeah,
Well, I think that's a cross inspiration again, Em, in our relationship because you're super fucking weird.
yes.
Love your weirdness, and I've loved how your weirdness has fueled your creativity, like, way beyond my imaginings, and so I've just love being inspired by and kind of following your lead on the creative tip.
Let's go on this creative journey
I
of the fancy party. And I just love that you've been in.
all your
That's what lights me up too. I really want a presence, like you said, the catalyst for each other and the soil and the taproot and the branching and the fruits of our friendship. Forever friendship has then s- brought such a rich
mm,
ecosystem of other relationships and friendships,
mm,
like 2 other guests that have been on here already, Gabriella and Kate.
and Teddy.
Those and Teddy. Those all came from connection with you, and
Yes.
then we have, of course, Terry Lynn and
Mhm,
Karuna and Lo, and it goes on and on and on.
mhm.
And I really, um, wanna credit your parents.
Aw.
The legacy of Gary and Lotus for creating such a beautiful soil for you to be weird and free in as
Mhm.
little Jessica Ray.
Yeah, Jessica Rainbow.
Jessica Rainbow.
She was weird.
Anything you wanna bring in with her and
Well, that's
childhood?
beautiful. I was just thinking about her today when I was out taking my moss nap, which I mentioned to you earlier, which is one of my favorite new extreme sports. Another gift of the 50s is that all the extreme sports are changing into moss naps and um but I was thinking about myself because I lived in like I was raised in the forest, like not just near the forest or like looking at the forest, but like in it, like in the hummus, like crawling around under the fern fronds and like making little forts and like lying and looking up at the sky and digging out old stumps, um, and climbing trees and just dirty. I was like the most deliciously dirty little girl boy growing up. And, one of the things like you asked, what's really alive for me is coming back to the country.
Mm,
Like I belong in the forest. I was raised by ferns. Like I am so grateful to be back in the woods. And I think I get to get in touch with her a little bit more because I'm here.
mhm.
Going, yeah,
Yeah,
climbing
and you
trees,
still climb trees.
rolling around the dirt. It's different.
Climbing trees is a pretty extreme sport, I'd
Yeah,
say.
it is. There's very few friends that will come with me. Oh,
And then how long do you stay up in the trees?
well, I love being up there. It's such a beautiful perspective. And then sometimes I get a little scared and I'll come down,
Yeah,
because that's real.
that's fair.
Hmm. So that piece about being weird, we both of us were born weird at some point. We were trained out of it.
Mhm.
We were trained to be normal. And then that got sad. And then we found each other and we got to get weird again. But what I
Never did.
want to say about you, Em, is that, and to all the beautiful people listening and who have also the honor of being in community and relationship with you, is that, like we were talking about, the trusting, the feeling of things, because that's what matters. And I have always trusted. There's folks that are really weird, but I can't connect because they're you said that taproot. Like the weird is there and we're rooted, we're wired in so deeply that the creative expressions of who we want to be and who we're becoming, um, we don't get lost in them.
Mm,
And we don't lose each other. And we've lost some friends that way.
that's true,
Mm.
yeah.
And another piece of bringing it back to the season is that the seeds that have been in the soil all winter resting, they root first.
Mhm.
So before they even put their shoots up, they're rooting down, and here in the forest, it can really feel that energy as spring becomes alive. There's a two-way dynamic of energy of one going down and one going up, and that's really important. And I think I just wanted to share that when talking about weird and creative expression and things that may seem kind of out here, but there's this necessary aspect of that because that's where the nourishment, comes from, and the stability. And I feel that in you. I've always felt, maybe because we're Capricorns,
Mhm.
I don't know, but that was there was the light in you, the spirit light that was just so ready to escape. And then there was
Mm,
the grounded. It feels really good in my body.
yeah, and truly, like, you've been the person in my life that has shown me from the beginning, a secure love.
Mm,
A secure, because in your nervous system, now that I have that language, which I didn't when we first met, but it
mm,
was um, that taproot and I remember we'd be in T's yoga church and there'd be moments where we'd be in like a side s twist, and you'd just reach your hand out and we'd hold hands, and just these beautiful, simple gestures of love
mm,
and connecting. And from that place, that contact of hand is like you're coming from that center of your taproot, and I felt it.
mm, mhm,
And even hearing you say this, I'm like, as in this current season, I'm like, our journey from the womb, we go, we root down, we gotta descend first.
mhm.
I never really made that connection, just like the seeds, like we gotta go down.
Yeah, crocodile labyrinth.
The
You gotta go
crocodile
down.
labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Birth.
The crocodile labyrinth has been another really beautiful thing we've referenced throughout our many years, that first came from your mom, right? And when she went to Egypt?
She was talking to us about it, I think, maybe 15 years ago. Um, Somebody has diagrams in their book. It actually might be Barbara Hand-Clow.
Yeah, and Melchizedek.
Yeah. So the crocodile labyrinths in Egypt were initiation settings for initiates into the mystery schools, and they were like full of water, and there were crocodiles at the bottom. And the crocodiles had been fed, but the initiates didn't know that they had been fed, but they needed to go into the water. And when they saw the crocodiles, they would want to come surface right away, right away. But in order to get out, they had to go down to where the crocodiles were and then come back up. So they had to go deeper. And we've talked about this a lot in our time together, Em, of like
Mhm.
so many times in relationship, something scary or something is hard, challenging, and we want to exit right away. Or when we start doing shadow work,
Mhm.
oh my God, that's in there. That's
Mhm.
part of me. Oh, I don't want to do it anymore. You have to go deeper into the scary. And that's where the gems are and the learning. And so the birth would be like the ultimate, like you were just saying,
Wow.
birth and Costco.
Right, because
Yeah,
the
was
modern
initiated.
day mystery school for the initiates is going through Costco and all the overhead lighting and all the
You can't just go
people.
in and out. You gotta like go deep. We're in it. People say, "Where are the mystery schools?" I'm like, we are in it.
Right, every day.
Modern life is a mystery school.
Yeah.
To be this far severed from source is it. This is the process and the practice.
Wow.
Oh, sweetie.
There's so much there. Um, since you mentioned, and I know this is gonna be the first of many, and Reya going through all the different weird things. Um, you mentioned Barbara Hand-Clow and the Alchemy of Nine Dimensions. Anything that's tickling your fancy about
Yeah.
that in this moment?
Um, yes. Well, oh, where to start? Maybe I just want to do a quick run through of the nine dimensions. Actually, I don't know all nine of them. I'm only in relationship with like seven because they're very practical. And I think when we talk about multidimensional reality, we can get very ungrounded and unrooted in what's real is that we're constantly negotiating and interfacing with all the dimensions all the time. And this, we've studied Barbara Hand-Clow's work for a long time. Her book, The Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions, was very, very meaningful, transformative for us in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, maybe,
Mhm.
and still extremely relevant because it's timeless. And so I'm gonna run through them just how I feel related to them.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so the first dimension is the iron crystal core of the planet. It is the piece of our reality that creates gravity. It has a very strong pull on our bodies. Therefore, we stay in contact with the earth. We're not flying off into space. So, on a daily basis, we are in relationship with the first dimension because that is gravity. The second dimension is between the core. There's oceans under there. There's hot, there's the mantle, there's all kinds of stuff. And then the surface of the planet. And that is the second dimension. And it's full of life. Not only water as a life form, but lots of biological life. Like the biosphere, the biome of the planet is in the second dimension. So that means the realm of bacteria and the intelligence of bacteria is a second dimensional manifestation that we are also interacting with every day because we have that in us. Third dimension, day to day reality, right? Like here we are, a third dimension. This is third dimensional reality. We got stuff, we got living. We're all navigating third dimension all the time, right? This is normal life. Fourth dimension gets a little weird, but like weird in a weird way, which is the spectrum between the malevolent and the benevolent. And in between is indifferent. But it's full spectrum. So there's dark forces and light forces in the fourth dimension. This is dream time. This is the realm of myth and archetype. This is things that aren't in the third dimension but seemed kind of like it. So phones are a portal to the fourth dimension. We're
Mm.
portaling in, and many more people now are interfacing with the fourth dimension way more than ever in history. We used to just go there in dream states or trance states. Um, but now we're all kind of locked in the fourth dimension. The fourth dimension can be scary.
Mhm.
It's a place where without connecting to the other dimensions, there's a loss of sense of reality. Fifth dimension. What do you want to say about fifth dimension, Em?
Well, it's the dimension of the heart, love, orgasm.
Yeah.
And Barbara, she's channeling that. She calls them the P's, the Palladians, and that's where they are in this
Mhm.
book. And that when we are in connection with our joy and our pleasure, we're in the fifth dimension. And
Mm.
that from that place we can birth worlds from our orgasmic energy.
Yes, absolutely. And and that is the place of what was our tea house? Synchronicity.
Yes,
Synchronicity. All these
yes.
things synchronicity, but they're essentially fifth dimensional realities where when you think something, it appears. Or when
Mhm,
you think of someone, they call, or um, dreams are coming true. There's some consciousness fields where we're in agreement around synchronicity. And it's really magical.
mhm.
It's really magical. And then sixth dimension is sacred geometry. So sacred geometry is all the frequency vibrations that are creating form. It's so interesting because um, the geometry is all around us, and we have the capacity to see it. And we can be in a psychotropic experience, whether that's plant medicine based or no, no substance at all. You can open the brain into the states where we're activating our ability to see what's happening in the sixth dimension. It's not like mushrooms make those things happen.
Mhm.
They just open up our inherent capacity to see the geometry. Um, and then, we know that geometry creates form. Everything is that geometry is a blueprint to how our bodies are formed, how flowers are formed, how shells are formed. And the seventh dimension is the sound frequency that comes in and creates the geometry, like the plates, the resonance plates, where you have a resonant frequency and then the geometry starts to form, or the speaking into water and the geometry starts to form. Um, so from the outer dimensions, everything becomes a little more dense until you get down to the first dimension, which iron is very, very dense. So all of them, sound, light, sacred geometry, synchronicity, and love, orgasmic life force, energy. Fourth dimension's a little swirly. Third dimension's like drive in lanes. I'm in traffic, living my life. Second dimension, the whole biosphere of the planet that's way smarter than us, that has been making the plan since the beginning of time. And then gravity. And here we are.
Wow.
So to navigate the fourth dimension, whether that's artificial intelligence, whether that's social media, whether that's dream states, again, it's so important to have the taproot
Mm.
because then you have a place to come back to. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a lot of there's a lot of predation, like predator energy in the fourth dimension. Um, and we want to be really sober and real about that, and care for each other and care for the children.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
discernment, 'cause if
Mm.
there's not taproot, how to discern and how I mean, I know that you've mentioned ways that you resource yourself, but how do you bring in that taproot?
I mean, in just a moment of breath of thinking about the iron crystal core,
Mm.
like my sit bones are already connected. My feet are on the ground. I don't have to make it happen. It's already there. It's just me bringing my awareness back to the fact that that's real.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. And I feel in myself, and I know, working with so many other bodies, that when we practice that return over and over, it changes the way that the nervous system is wired. More
Mhm.
settled, you know, um, the chemistry of the nervous system shifts. And and I really know, not just believe, but know that that settled nervous system is the state of our intelligence. It is the seat of our wisdom. And I know when I'm anxious and worried about something, I am not intelligent, I am not tapped into source and my guidance. So just that simple practice of knowing how to navigate the dimensions and
Mhm.
turn to vertical alignment and taproot, I feel like is an essential life skill.
Absolutely. Coming back to, like, that sovereignty of bringing in the power of that vertical root down and then up,
Mhm.
coming out from the heart space, looping it back in. That's the way to navigate the crocodile labyrinth, it
Mhm.
seems. When you're talking about the fifth dimension, it reminded me of this moment we were at the Eclipse Festival in Oregon, 2017, and we're just sitting by the lake, and you knew Makita was coming, your husband, and you just look, and then, I mean, there's 30,000 people there,
We've been gone
and
all day.
there's been gone all day. There's no cell phones, and just like that. And that was the coolest instant moment of that way of communicating
Mhm.
that I
Yes.
saw.
I love that you brought in festivals because I love them for that. I love festivals because the agreement field is set up in the fifth dimension. For those of us wanting to and willing to participate in the fifth dimension, I remember one time at Burning Man, I was literally riding my bike down a dusty road and I was like, I want cookies. And this person steps out in an apron with a tray full of hot chocolate chip cookies and a jug of cold milk. And I'm just saying that because it was commonplace.
Yeah.
These like where the synchronicities become commonplace, and that's a beautiful state.
Mhm.
Very, very free. It's like, oh, then you're just in a playground of ideas and manifestations being met.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
it makes me wonder too, when we're in that place and we're really receiving, did we want the cookies, or, did you want the cookie, or was the cookie in the field? And then you're like, I want the cookie, but that's a whole other conversation. Uh,
Cause and effect in the fifth dimension is not a linear project,
it's non-linear.
non-linear. It's very circuitous.
Well, the mention of the crocodile labyrinth is cool because it's been, I went there
Recent.
uh recently in November, when with Heather Ensworth, who is friends with Barbara Hanclough. And Heather, who's an astrologer, was really talking about Three Eye Atlas, and Three Eye Atlas was coming closest to the sun. And Three Eye Atlas is this interstellar object that,
Slash being.
slash being, yes, consciousness. And as it was as at its perihelion to the sun, we went to the crocodile labyrinth, the Sobek temple. And it was a moment of the uh, initiation of there's fear. There can be a fear path, or there can be a courageous path,
Hmm.
because there was a guard with massive AK 47
Mhm.
who was, um, wanting Suzanne and I to go a certain direction in the labyrinth. And I just sovereigned up and I was like,
Mhm.
said no to it, didn't have the fear, and we made it through. And just being faced with that, those moments of like, okay, here we are in the third dimension. There can be these different things that can bring in what would be fear.
Mhm.
So that was a really powerful moment in that temple, even though it wasn't going through the actual crocodile labyrinth. It was I'm going to choose to not go into that fourth dimension drama,
Mhm.
thankfully, you know.
Mhm.
So,
And you're reminding me of parenting.
yes.
I mean, how many times do we need to be as a mother of small children, especially like to be sovereign in our choices, even if they're not going with the mainstream or the way other people do it or the requests of people around us. Um, that guidance and that the neural pruning has happened so that you can have that guidance is
Mhm.
essential.
Wow. And it's beautiful to see your grown child, who I met when they were 2.
Hmm. And you were the best auntie friend for them. Oh my gosh, you guys had so much fun.
We had the
Dressed
best
up and
time.
you had your band, the Lunas,
The lunatics.
the Lunatics.
But just seeing that this next generation of being weird, being free fully in soul and
Yeah.
how wow. And then just what's possible for then the continued generations that stay in that weird and free.
Mhm.
So,
100.
what an amazing, amazing, amazing human that you and Makita have guided
Yeah.
and stewarded the spirit
Yeah.
and then also within yourselves. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. We've all learned from each other. It's so wonderful to have an adult child. I love this phase. I love this phase of it's kind of parenting, not parenting, and getting to know a being in a different way that is not, you know, they're like an amazing friend and an
Mhm.
inspiration. And I learned so much from Soul in the weird ass way that they have chosen to move through this life. And um so proud of who they are. Hmm.
And it's just a reminder when, I'm with these younger ones of to stay in that place of letting their spirits express and taproot down, stay connected to
Hmm.
what weird and free is for each
Hmm.
unique being. And so, like, what for those listening that might be like, okay, I want to be weird, be free. What would be some of the signposts of like, okay, to undo this, move toward this?
Mm, that's such a good question. I think the biggest squasher of weirdness is um trying to impress or do something for someone else. Like what's that word when you I can't even remember the feeling of it, which
Appease,
is great. Appease. Yeah.
appease.
Appease. And yeah. And so when those feelings come up, just take a minute to be like, is this from me? Or is this from someone else? And if it's from someone else, then just be curious about that. And if there's another option, I think that's a really good way to start. You know,
Yeah.
weird does not mean it's like flamboyant and loud and all of that. Weird can be like weird for me right now is being alone in the woods. Nobody knows I'm weird. It's great. It's like I didn't take a picture of it and post it. It's just me doing my own thing. Um,
I
yeah,
love that.
this weirdness will not be televised, except on your podcast, Em. Oh,
Um,
I know.
your relationship with water too, like that's been another major inspiration in my life, both you and your again beloved mama Lotus and um because that weaving it back to what you first said around being alone and this wisdom season.
Mm,
Uh, and I remember when we were doing my baby blessing when I was pregnant with Finn, and I was like, I know I got to do this on my own. And you said again one of those statements that penetrates my being, just like tears flow. Is yes, no one can do this for you, but you're gonna still have the waters with you,
mm, you won't be alone.
and
Mhm.
that. So anything you want to bring in this moment about what your relationship is with the water when being in that aloneness.
Mhm. Alone, never alone, because she's always there. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is a whole journey we could go on with water, and that'd be really fun to do because you and water mystics, tried and true. At this point, it's a long-term deepening relationship, intimate relationship with water, and I feel so connected and to her as a sentient being, I would say that she's creation herself. She gives life, she takes life. Um, she's everywhere. She's listening. She's full of information. And I say she because that just helps me relate to her at this in my form and my choices of this life. Um, and she's loving, but she's also indifferent, which I really like that energy. Um, and I live in the Pacific Northwest. Like, it's wet. And there's a reason why I'm here.
Mm.
Mhm. And every morning I sit with her in my morning ponderings at the pond and sing. I mean, there's nobody I would rather sing to and
Mm.
sing with than her. And she's inside. She's not just outside. And then what a beautiful lesson and divine education around connect being connected with nature because it's in here and out and all around underneath and everywhere. She reminds me that there is no possibility of severance. There's no possibility to forget, even though
Mm.
sometimes I find myself in the forgetting.
Wow.
Mhm.
Do you have a song that you would wanna share that you sing either to her or to the elements?
The one that came was your song, your and Kate's song. That came through, right when you said that, so that one dropped, but I know you guys shared that one, so I would love to share this song maybe as in a form of closing.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do that.
And I'm feeling I wanna maybe I'll send and you can put in the show notes, the name of the young woman who was a song carrier for this song, and as you talked with Gabriella and Kate about this reality of song carrier, it means songs come to us, they come through in certain places, and we are just carrying them in our basket of songs, and we share them with community. And this one came from Cherry Creek Canyon in Colorado. And again, this is the one that has really helped me through this year. It felt like a whole year of wintering. So this is a winter song for me. I go down to the water and I lay down my troubles and I watch them float to the sea. I go down to the water and I lay down my troubles and I watch them float to the sea. For they are too heavy for me to carry, to hold and still be free. For they are too heavy for me to carry, to hold and still be free.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you. So beautiful.
Mm.
Receiving your beautiful song, the words, the wisdom, That was gifted from Cherry Creek Canyon.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh, thank you, my forever friend.
My forever friend, thank you for your brilliant medicine,
Mm,
for being weird and free and taprooted and alchemizing this 7 plus dimensions and um
yeah,
yeah.
this is the life.
Mhm.
This is our one wild and precious life, and I'm
Yeah,
so grateful to be on this journey with you.
absolutely. Okay, to many more conversations, looping our hearts back in. I love you.
Love you.